All right, so we are into the discussion topic for this week's episode, and in something that I don't talk a lot about on this podcast. I don't really get very often to the TV realm consistently. I don't do a lot of movie reviews here. I know I've done some Marvel ones in the past. I think the last one I've done was Infinity War. It's been a long time since I really delved into full movie reviews because now we have the film frequency. That's kind of my place to talk about TV and film and stuff like that. But this week, and this is something that I kind of went back and forth with on, do I really want to cover this? Do I really want to jump into this? But I think I do. And the reason is I want to talk about Black as Fuck. So this is the new series from Kenya Barris, who wrote Girls Trip. He helped create Blackish, Mixed-ish, all the ish shows. I can't remember all the spinoffs from that because I never really got into them. And the response to this has just been really, really one that I think we kind of have to talk about. And here's why. So for the first thing that I saw after this happened was the whole Rashida Jones being cast as his mixed wife, and people didn't think she was mixed at enough, which she's a mixed person, so she's representative of that. People have this whole thing that they went into of thinking how mixed people should be represented on this TV show, and it's we're not just one. Mixed people don't just look one way. So the fact that she is a mix, she is half black, and the fact that people had to initially ran into taking issue with the way that she looks and that she wasn't depicted, or they didn't cast someone who had curlier hair or whatnot. And that part of Kenya Barris's life is real. He is married to a mixed woman, so he cast someone who was similar to her. And all these shows are parts of their life. Blackish is based on his life as well. And so that was one of the first things I saw from the series before an episode that I watched or anything. And I'm just looking at it but Rashida Jones is mixed. And the thing that we sometimes have a problem with in Black culture is we want representation in the way that we see it. Sometimes we don't always care about representation in a real and realistic way. We have this inherent colorism sometimes that we have, or we and it's so funny because I think that what we do as Black people sometimes is that we claim people who are mixed as well, but if they look more black, we automatically claim their victories. For example, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who is never, at least to my knowledge, has ever identified as African American, even though he isn't. He identifies more with his Samoan heritage, but we claim him as black, and that's fine. He is partly black, but someone who is Rashida Jones, who is part black, who just looks more white in her features than African American, and now I see this attack of her and a whole article written on why Kenya Barris didn't get it because he casted Rashida Jones, and it's just that shit is fucking stupid to me. I don't understand that aspect of that argument when we have someone who is mixed race in a black show and someone she was supposed to be black, and even the depiction of her characterization, where she has said oh, I'm either not black enough, or she tries to figure out it's a weird place to fit in. This is things that we hear mixed race children talk about all the time. So the fact that it was depicted, it's shouldn't we be happy that they're actually, and yeah, it's a comical show, so it's not going to be all extra heavy, but shouldn't we take victory in the fact that for people who do identify, who are mixed race, that we get some of that struggle? Yeah, it's played for comedy, but we get it. We were getting it in this show, it finally being depicted so people can understand it and see it, and the people that are mixed can identify in that. But instead we're deciding to attack it. And I'm someone, I say all the time, I don't just support shows because they're black. That's never me. I'm not even getting into whether I do dislike the show, but I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about how we attack it from the standpoint of race and colorism when we don't necessarily have to. And in my opinion, we shouldn't even be taking that stance. It's just weird because they could have very well got somebody who was racially ambiguous enough to play that. And I don't know. It just really blew my mind to see it. And, and I don't want to completely, I'm not going to completely vouch for the show or completely distract from it. The show isn't that good to me. And I think part of it is that coming out of the race thing and now into the show itself, I think that this is the problem that I have with like just blindly supporting things just because they're black and holding up to quality, because what I think Netflix, and in a large part Kenya Barris, because we have to hold him because he's done some great work before in this show, is that, and I've also supported Netflix as well. Like they've done very good with cultural shows, black culture shows. We got Trigger Warning, we got When They See Us, like the list goes on. You know, Marlon Wayans has had his deal there, so they do work with black people, and I think this kind of lays more at the foot of Kenya Barris than it does Netflix. I want to say that specifically now, but I think that when you get a blackish show with cursing, so it's blackish with cursing, that's what Black as Fuck is, and you just threw it at the thing and you didn't make anything different, there was nothing to make this show stand out. And I kind of, as much as I hate the attack that it's getting for the race aspect and the colorism with Rashida Jones, I'm appreciating that people aren't just saying that this is the greatest thing on earth because it's black, and actually looking at the show itself and the quality of it. It's shot beautifully, and there are some great scenes in it. There's some great conversations that happen, especially with like him and Tyler Perry. There are some messages and some notes and some tones in this series that I think are great, and conversations that need to be had. But at the same time, I'm looking at the show and I'm just thinking, did they just think, oh, we're going to get the black viewer because of this, or oh, I'm the creator of Blackish, they're gonna love this, and it just didn't hit. So I'm glad from that standpoint that people are calling it to carpet, and it can improve. Netflix already has it, and I don't always believe their little chart things, because it's funny how everything that's new there is automatically in like the top 5 charting around the country. But they're going to get a second season, at least that's my speculation. I don't know if they've already signed like a multi-season deal before the season even started, but I do think they're going to get a second season. And hopefully Kenya Barris, being a talented writer and things that he's done, makes the correct adjustments to make this show better, because I think that something like this is needed. Just it being like, it's like a black version of Curb Your Enthusiasm, but without anything that made it special. And I know it's a comedy, so I'm not going to get too deeply involved in the aspect of it there. But it was another article that I want to talk about. So that was my like little mini review on the show itself or whatever. But I read an article and I found it through The Root, but I think it was actually The Root linking to another website, and I can't remember the website. It'll be in the description though. And saying that Kenya Barris only has love for white people with this show. And I think that's a little bit too harsh of a critique, and I know I just critiqued it as well. But again, goes back to like the blindly tearing down of stuff. Like, this is a comedy show. With comedy, even though it's about black people, right? The depiction of the blackness of this show, I think, has bothered some people. Blackish, even though I haven't watched every season, I didn't get the as cheesy aspect of this. But I think with this show, it being black people who are successful and rich in the universe of the show, that does it cater to white people? And that's something I'm going to leave up to you guys, and that's going to be kind of the open discussion part of this, is do you think that Black as Fuck was catered more towards white people that want to see blackness but not understand black people? I don't think that he only cared about white people in the show. I think he saw a lane in which was going to make it funny. I think he saw a lane in which, seeing the black people who are successful, are rich, and kind of can do whatever they want to, and maybe have a hard time connecting with just the regular black people and folks. Like, I understand wanting to attack it and write that show from that standpoint, but I think that it was just some of the stuff that was special about a show like Blackish got completely left out. And so, and people saying that he only cares about the white audience and white critics, and I don't know. I haven't seen as much about him outside of like just the products that he wrote. Like, I haven't seen an interview with him. I haven't seen anything with him talking about it. So I can't really talk to or say that I feel like that's necessarily true, but I can't say that it's not either. But I think it falls in that bubble that kind of all black creatives and TV shows and writers kind of fall in, is like, how much do I write this to where it's easily accessible for all races, or how much do I like have to make it, I have to kind of appease what white people want to see blackness as. And I for one, like I said, I've said that many times before with a lot of black produced things, is that I think that we fall in the trap of we support it because it's black, but it's an ulterior motive behind it. It's kind of exploiting black people. It's exploiting black culture. It's exploiting stereotypes of black people. This show kind of does that, but because it's a comedy, I think that maybe I wasn't as offended as some people were, but I can't take away from your offense of it. It's just overall right now, I think with the new focus on black creators in Hollywood specifically, we got Lena Waithe, we got Ava DuVernay, we got countless shows and exclusives that were based on things from black culture and black people. But we're going to get to that point now, especially with like hip hop being the most mainstream music. And we've talked about on this podcast before how the imitation of black slang and black vernacular in these companies' social medias and in their promotionals and commercials and everything has been at an all-time rise. So when we're in a world like that where it's really starting to be so much blackness out there, it gets commercialized, and then we have to deal with, and then we have to rectify in our heads, all right, how much of commercializing black stereotypes and black stories now does it start being offensive, or where do we put our support at? And off the top of looking at Kenya Barris and what he's done, Kenya Barris for what he's done, we would have automatically assumed that this was going to be something that we supported. So I would like to say that I like to think that now something, especially this being this high profile, it starts opening people's eyes more to kind of the things that I've been talking about for a while here, and then just watching what you support, watching what you put your time behind, and not just blindly going and supporting things just because they're black. But we also can't just tear them down either because we don't identify. It's such a weird place that I'm in with this show because I don't like the show. I don't necessarily agree with some of the hate that it's getting, but the colorism and the things that are in it that it's turned to in like social media and stuff now, it's just like I don't necessarily agree with either. So I'm in a weird place of I don't want to defend the show, but I want to defend maybe the intent of the show. I'm not quite sure where I am with it. I'm still working through my feelings with it on this episode, but it's just like, that's why it's the open discussion. How do you guys feel about Black as Fuck? Black AF, however it's supposed to be said, because it's just like, it had such a great opportunity, and especially when you start seeing those promos, and they had Tyler Perry and Issa Rae and just so many black directors and writers that he talks to, and that they pop up in and out of the show. It's just like, this could have been something special. And I think it can still be savaged. It can still be salvaged. But I really just think that what we need to do is we need to hold it accountable. But I also think we need to give it space to see how Kenya Barris responds to the criticisms of it. And maybe he doubles down on that. I don't know. I can't say. But I really just hope that things improve. And with the whole racial aspect of it, listen, Rashida Jones is half black. Get off of it. Leave that woman alone. And the importance to identify, you're not going to see yourself or even your opinion or what you want to see in everything, but that doesn't stop it from being a representation or someone who should be able to represent us. That's all I just want to leave on with that. Let me know how you guys feel. I know relatively short episode, but I had originally last week, I planned to come in this week with a different topic, but I didn't want to leave it. I really wanted to talk about it and work through my thoughts on it, because it's just such a weird place that I'm in with this. And especially in what I talked about in the Mind of Haize segment, I just feel like it all came together to really be talking about this and break it down a little bit more. But let me know how you guys think, what you guys feel. If you agree or disagree with me, this is an open discussion here on The Awakened Soul. But that's it. I got nothing left, so I'm gonna go ahead and give our social media. Make sure you follow us at Awakened Soul Pod or at The Awakened Soul Pod, just depending on where you're looking for us at. Make sure you also follow me at CEO Haize, at CEOHAIZE. Follow the Breaks Media Network. Go to thebreaksmedianetwork.com, where you can find all our podcasts. We're doing some revamping of the website. I'm really liking how it's turning out. Shout out to Dan from Black Law and Legal Lies and a few screws loose. Shout out to AJ from What We're Gonna Do. Shout out to BJ from Change the Subject. Those are the brothers that I really like how they're pushing forward their shows and their content. And that's not it. If I didn't mention you, it's not a slight. Those are just the ones that are on my mind right now. Also, I want to do while I'm here, also promote that we do a live. We have been doing something more live on social media on Saturdays, where we just kind of help creatives and what they can build, what they can do. It's an open conversation. It's really fun. So make sure you go and follow us there so you can be part of that discussion. But that's it for this week. I think I'm losing my voice, so I'm gonna go ahead and head out. Thank you for supporting me and everything, like I said at the top of the show. But I love each and every one of you guys. I'm out for this week. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks Media.